Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and welcome to AfCFTA Files, powered by the African MSME Collective, which really is all about making sure that we know what we need to do to grow into export business. My name is Chesubire Talitwala Greg, and this is the African MSME Collective, where we support businesses on the continent and outside the continent to start, set up, stabilize, scale, and be sustainably successful. Why do we do that? Because we believe the future of Africa is in its ability to meet its own needs, in its ability to expand trade, and its ability to shift the coming generations by creating space for them. I want to do a quick conversation. I was on a panel recently and we're talking about the AfCFTA and all the protocols and everything else. We talked about the service protocol, which we need to make time to do an episode about that coming soon. We talked about how it is so much easier to track the sale of goods, but not services. And many other things we talked about. But the one thing, and I was on the panel for the sake of the MSMEs, the thing we were talking about is what do MSMEs really, really need for success? And in my view, there are three things. Let's make it four. There are four things that we really, really need. So many times we don't understand what the AfCFTA is about because it's a trade agreement. It's very technical. The language is very legal. So many of us don't understand it. That's okay not to understand it. But what we need to get to the place of doing is capacity building. So very many times, a lot of organizations are funded to say reach 1,000 people. And they'll go out and they'll reach the 1,000, they'll train them, but they don't stay long enough to ensure the training has sunk. So I'll use myself as an example. I first heard about the AfCFTA in, I think, the year 2000. It had come into, it had been proclaimed and began getting ratification in 2018. So I heard about it in 2020. Sorry, not the year 2000, in 2020. And I heard about it because I joined an association that talked about it a lot. Then I began reading, I began studying. The first few times it went over my head, straight over my head. I understood nothing. And I'm bright enough to fake it. So it looks like I understood. It's only when I began moderating conversations around the AfCFTA, I began entering classes and webinars that I really began understanding it. I remember about 3 months ago, we went for another workshop and there was a trader in the room. She does asparagus. And she said, I came trying to understand how to export. It has not been answered. And I realized the capacity building is one prong currently, is what is the AfCFTA, how to take advantage of it. But many MSMEs are not even at the point where that makes sense. So the capacity we need to build has to be multi-pronged. That's number one. Number two, because we are going to have to increase production, we're going to have increased costs, we're going to have to go further, do more. We need friendly and patient capital. The average bank gives an MSME at least 5% more than another customer in their interest rates when they're getting loans. Why? We are said to be risky. It's true. We have a lot of risks related to us. We have key man risk, which means I'm the one person who knows everything, has everything, does everything. So if I get sick or I go down, my business is gone with me. Okay? So friendly capital means the interest rates are fair. Friendly capital means it's easy to access, because the common thing for MSMEs, especially women-led ones, is the absence of collateral. All right? But it also needs to be patient. A lot of money that's coming onto the continent, is coming in the venture capital model, which means that you get money and you need to pay it back in 4 years with a factor of X. So maybe a factor of 3, a factor of 2, and then return the principal and maybe some interest, depending on what your agreements are. So now, many businesses on the continent cannot grow that fast because a lot of the venture capital models are based on tech. The average business takes 7 years to confirm proof of concept and be absolutely viable. But you want to come in and give us money and have us paid back in 4 years. Not realistic. So that's why we say patient capital, because then it's money that comes to work. And because you've built the capacity of the business owner not to take that money and go and buy a Prado, a house, a piece of land, which are the things many of us commonly buy, then we are able to grow. But coupled with true capacity building, a friendly and patient capital, the third element, which I believe will help our businesses export, is long-term mentorship and coaching. I gave an example. There is a small business I've been working with, a business leader I've been working with for 9 years. When we started, he was an employee doing work for one of the ride-hailing companies. And everybody told him, don't get onto that because you have a degree, but the degree was not putting food in his mouth. So he took up this opportunity. He worked for 4 different people. He drove 4 different cars owned by people. So in the ride-hailing structure, you make X, but the hold of the account gets Y, and then they give you a target. You could have a daily target of 2,000 Kenya shillings, 3,000, whatever a daily target is. You make X for the person, X for yourself. So in that arrangement, the owner of the car gets the bulk of the money. So what we did over a long period of time helped him learn to save, helped him restructure. And then he got a loan to get his car, but he went to hire purchase. So almost lost his car a couple of times, and we restructured, went back to the bank, got a better facility, and he was now able to own his car. He's free and clear. If that's what's happening for a local business, imagine what would happen for a business that's exporting. So if I need to export, I probably need to start a new production cycle, which means I need money. But when I'm in here, there will be days when I don't know what to do, and most MSMEs don't have boards. So long-term coaching, access to mentors, long-term. Many of our programs are 6 months. If we get to 12 months, we're lucky. The long-term then enables us to confirm that the capacity we built is actually valuable, and then recommend additional capacity to be built. And I think the third most valuable thing for a business that wants to export beyond capacity, or let me backtrack a little bit. Capacity also means you have to understand international trade. You have to understand the HS codes, the codes that identify your product, which markets you're going into, what the needs of those markets are. So the other side of capacity is access to where you get this information, who do you get it from, who do you partner with, who can do, all those things for you. Which then means we must be committed to valuable associations. Unfortunately, many of our associations belong to individuals, so they have certain goals set. We need more and more purely business-minded associations that are not looking to feed 1 or 10 people's bottom lines, but are looking to build capacity across the community. That is where we struggle. We need a model like the models of the chambers of commerce on a smaller scale, because many of us still cannot afford to join the chambers of commerce because it's always a little bit more expensive. So if you're thinking of exporting as a business owner, it doesn't matter that you can't export now. It matters that you want to export. Ensure you have the right knowledge, ensure you have access to friendly and patient capital. We are looking for long-term mentorship and coaching, and we're looking for valuable associations. So those are the big 4 things I think we all need to have access to before we can be effective. Now, last example. If I'm a business person in Kenya, I need to, first of all, we have 47 counties. So can I sell across at least 3 or 4 counties first? That gives me a bit of the feel of international integration. And then can I sell in the rec that I'm in? So Kenya is part of the East Africa community, and we're also part of COMESA. So you go into your rec because there will be benefits there. And then when you've gone, rec is your regional economic community. So when you've done your rec, then you can go to another rec, because exporting from Kenya to Nigeria means you're going to be doing EAC to ECOWAS, which means there are privileges you will not get. So you test it on a small scale and then you grow to bigger. So those are some ideas I think would be valuable and useful for us as individuals working to export under the AfCFTA. If you have a question, please just put it in the comment section. We'll get back to you, answer it. Otherwise, you can reach us through that, or you can follow us on LinkedIn and just send us a direct message and we'll be able to reach back to you. Bottom line is, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and Agreement is viable for all of us. We just have to do the work. Thanks for watching and have a good evening and a good morning and a good night. Whatever time of the day it is for you, be blessed, richly, richly blessed.